Sean. Did you have a wonderful Christmas?
Hello, Ellie. Happy Christmas. Yes, I had a lovely Christmas. Thank you very much. It was really fun. How was yours?
My Christmas was great, and the highlight being the fact that we have Doctor Who back on Christmas Day.
It just hits different. I genuinely wonder if some of the Jodie festive specials might have hit a bit better if they were Christmas specials. Now, maybe not, because there's part of the fun and the magic of it being Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like gathering around with the family. Like my family sometimes will watch it, sometimes won't. But if it's on Christmas Day, we'll all sit down and watch it, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But let's move straight into our discussion on the episode. Now, obviously, everyone's kind of heard my thoughts on the episode from the ups and downs, and if you haven't, then you can go check that out. But what did you think overall of the episode, The Church on Ruby Road?
Didn't like it.
Oh. There you have it, folks.
Thanks everyone for joining us. No, because I took to Twitter like straight away. I really enjoyed this episode because we'd seen, hadn't we? We'd seen the kind of the teaser reviews that said great introduction episode. You know, kind of gets right into it, and I think it is. I think obviously, dare I say, it had its ups and downs, but no, I really enjoyed it. I love the tone. I love just how, you know, we kind of got straight into it. And also, budget's up a little bit there, isn't it?
Just slightly.
yeah, I was like, okay, all right, grand. Holy God. Oh, I really enjoyed it. So, as you mean, you're absolutely correct. The ups and downs have gone out, and you are awesome and wonderful. And fair play, by the way. I know this sounds like patting our, like, WhoCulture on the back, but no, well done you for sitting down yesterday and doing the ups and downs. Well done, Danny, for editing those ups and downs and getting them out as well.
Who needs a Boxing Day? Yes, so we did hear most of my thoughts on the episode, but I will add that I think it was a very fun episode. I think I did mention in the ups and downs, it wasn't necessarily my favourite Christmas special of all time, but I certainly didn't sit there and find much to pick apart from it negatively. It was inoffensive. It was fun. It's what a Christmas special should be, really. You just sit there and go, oh, I enjoyed that. I think there's definitely room to grow in certain elements, but I'm excited to see it grow.
Same. I think it's got, obviously, look, I really enjoyed it. It's got some of the same pitfalls that every first episode has, because this really is the first episode. It's the first one for Ncuti. It's the first one for... Actually, I want to heap praise on Millie Gibson. Being the new companion is always hard because, you know, like, and she's coming off, although it was only 3 episodes, the previous companion was Donna. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, you know, kind of the same challenge that Amy had, you know, start of season 5. But I really liked her because I remember we've talked about this before. I was sitting here in mild horror when I realized just how young Millie Gibson is. How did you feel about the fact that the scenes around the church were set in 2004?
I know. Do you know what? That was a note I made, and I forgot to say it in the ups and downs. But it's weird because the way that the mysterious mother is like wearing this hood cape-like thing, and the actual location itself looks almost timeless. It makes it seem like it's much older times than 2004. And then when I saw her walking away and you could see the houses with the Christmas decorations on in the background, I was like, oh, I've just remembered this is actually not. I do feel like I need to say as well, because I know that a lot of the time when I will say something about watching Doctor Who as a kid, and you always kind of cringe up, and we get a lot of comments about how I make everyone feel old. But this is like the spin, because even this, she's not that much younger than me, but even this makes me think, oh my God.
In a way, I'm delighted you finally feel what we've all been feeling for ages. But it's like, oh God. Like, not only do I remember 2004, I remember it well. Like, yeah. To all the Irish people watching this, I had already done my junior cert before 2004. That's gonna hit some people right in the, oh Lord. But yeah, okay, right. So that was bonkers. I suppose overall, I thought, just to, again, Millie Gibson, she's so likable from the jump. And it doesn't seem forced. I don't feel like I'm being told, hey, you must like this character. I don't care. I just think she plays with such ease and such, kind of, she's just so affable. The opening scene, loved the scenes of her and Davina McCall. Although that was really, really good. Um,
I did
and
comment on that scene in the ups and downs, actually, how it was quite clever because sometimes when you've got a time jump like that, you need to be filled in on what's happened. And sometimes scenes of exposition can feel really clunky and forced, but because they laid it out as a TV interview that's literally about her life, you were able to have a character explaining their life story and it feel completely right for them to be doing it, and you not go, oh, well, that was a scene of exposition. They just needed to let the audience know her life story somehow. And I thought that was quite clever.
This idea of, the foundling, which I didn't think was a term anymore, but okay. I'm
Well, so don't ask me what it's called because I can't remember, but Davina McCall does actually host a real TV program about finding adoptive people's real families and tracing lineage. So I think that is why Davina McCall was the person to do it, because this is a real show that audiences would be familiar with.
I'm just Google tells me Long Lost Family.
That's the one.
Okay. Or Born Without a Trace. Sorry, I should have researched this before this. But yeah, okay, so this is a real show. Okay, that now makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. I also think that the mystery of who is Ruby Sunday is really good. I mean, we all know that I love the River Song story and the mystery about who River Song was. So I'm liking that this is going to be like a slow burn discovery.
For sure. Like, the internet doesn't sleep, so the theories have been flying everywhere as to, is she her own mother? Is this a predestination paradox? Did she interact with the vortex, thus creating herself, a la the Bad Wolf? I don't know. When I say at the moment, I don't really care. I mean, I care enough about the character that I'm not like, I need to know right this second, right now. I'm like, I'm actually just enjoying getting to know her. Does that make sense?
It does. But I also think because they've teased this mystery, it feels as though everyone immediately, whether it's the right thing to do or not, jumps to, is it someone we know? Is Ruby's mother someone we are already familiar with? Which might not be the case at all. It might be someone completely different. I believe, from what I've seen floating over the internet, Millie Gibson was present on that filming location, and yet we haven't actually seen her. So obviously the theory that she was the one carrying the baby. Having said that, knowing how the world of filming works, they might not even know who's actually under that cloak yet, and she may have just been standing in and carrying the baby, because you don't actually see anyone's face. So the person actually in that shot could be completely not at all. So everyone kind of like zooming in to try and figure out who it is. It could be Millie Gibson standing in. It could be literally some random stand-in. Don't go looking too closely, because it could actually not. Might not actually know yet.
Or even, there's the thing, like, a couple of months ago, I got to meet one of my very best friends had a little baby, and I carried the baby for a moment. This does not make me the baby's parent. It literally could be anyone leaving her at the church. Obviously,
having said that,
yeah.
The only reason, because I went back and checked this, because I was like, oh, who says it's the mother dropping off the baby? But the voiceover that the doctor does at the very beginning says about her baby daughter in the voiceover that's telling the story. So that was the only reason that I figured that it was the mother. But at the same time, if that is a newborn baby and you are dropping off the baby and you've just given birth, I don't believe for a second that you are comfortable to walk that in the snow holding the baby and not be like limping, crawling to the church to drop off your newborn baby.
I couldn't possibly comment.
Maybe we should just swiftly move on.
I think so. What was I going to say as well? So I need the Sunday family to be in it a lot, because Carla and Cherry are brilliant. I think Cherry, so I've already seen someone going, petition to make Cherry as iconic as Jackie Tyler, and I think we already have enough to be like, yep.
Yeah, I think she was brilliant. And I think I commented this in the ups and downs. A lot of the scenes that were in that house were quite serious and dark. The baby's missing, bad things are happening. And I think without Cherry adding that little moments of humor and lightness to it, it could have been like, oh my God, this is dragging a bit. It's a bit dull, but not dull as in boring, but dull as in, oh my God, what's going on? But she just added that lighter tone in the mix. And I liked that. I think it was very good.
I don't know, because we were sitting there watching it and we were like, obviously, look, it's the Doctor Who. It's about everything. No. This show is called Cherry Sunday and the Search for a Good Cup of Tea. And I would watch many episodes of this.
Yeah. Okay, so let's now also move on. I'm just very aware of the time because we do have a tendency to chat and blah
I don't know what you're talking about.
The 15th Doctor. Obviously, we did see him at the end of The Giggle, but this is where we really get to know 15 and Ncuti Gatwa in the role. I really love him as the Doctor. I made a comment in the ups and downs that it's really, obviously, we see him living his best life, dancing in the club. And it's really, I think it's poignant to see him doing that because following from the bi-generation, this is the Doctor who is now free of burden, free of all those hardships that were weighing him down previously. And this is the whole point of the bi-generation, is that we can now move forward with this more kind of free living Doctor. And so to see him literally dancing around and living his best life, I think was brilliant. And it really brought that point home.
Absolutely, 100%. Because... I'm just thinking Eccleston probably wouldn't have been dancing on the dance floor,
No.
Or David Tennant might have been. Matt Smith definitely would have been.
Capaldi, not so much.
Probably not. Capaldi might have been DJing.
He'd be on the guitar.
Yeah, and it was lovely. It was fun, and you're right. It's refreshing to see because of the nature of the show, and there's kind of either 60 or 6,000 years of trauma on this poor character. Seeing them let loose and have fun like this has become a little bit unusual. I love as well. I just want to take a moment to really highlight that wonderful hat he was wearing, the big wide brimmed hat. And it was just like, this is a man who is so confident that he's just like, I'm gonna wear this hat.
I will say, so obviously we didn't actually see, he kind of was just in the background for a lot of the earlier moments of the episode, and we really were focusing on Ruby. And the scene in the street with the snowman falling, was revealed after the episode that was a late edition. We kind of knew that because we'd seen it had been filmed.
There'd
recently.
been pickups, wasn't there? Yeah.
And it was a result of Disney testing the episode and wanting to see the Doctor more fully, sooner. And to be honest, I'm glad that they did add that, because I was starting to think we haven't really seen much of the Doctor yet. And I know the focus was on Ruby, but I was excited to see the Doctor. And I think I again mentioned this in the ups and downs that there's been a lot of concern about Disney's involvement. But if this is the kind of feedback that Disney's giving, I'm all for it. Keep doing that, and we will stay friends, because I definitely think that was the right decision to be made.
We had a funny one because we were watching, right? And, he starts to identify himself and he goes, and then I kind of, for a fleeting second, I thought, okay, this feels a tiny bit. It's when he goes, she says yes, by the way. And I was just like, sold, love this scene, love everything about it. And I love as well, because obviously this will come back later on, but, the Doctor then hops in the TARDIS and TARDIS is out of there and the cop doesn't.
He's just like,
oh yeah, it's grand. Because in London in 2023, if you don't know what a TARDIS is, you are actively avoiding the news.
Yeah, nothing should faze them at this point. I mean, they've had the Meep. They've had all sorts happening in the last few months. I think that they...
Unit Tower! Yeah, like 100%.
Yeah.
So I love that they do, because I know they've done that before, but I love that he's just like, oh, she says yes. I love that, like, kind of, because you've already got the ring in your pocket and the sale starts in 2 days.
Yeah. Having said that, I'm still not sold on the new Sonic. I'm sorry, it's not the one. It looks like a dodgy TV remote. I'm not a fan.
I am fairly more accepting of it, but I don't get me wrong, I love the fact that the Sonic has always been a stick or a pen or a screwdriver. So yes, I agree that it makes me think of the film Click starring Adam Sandler and Christopher Walken.
It does.
But yeah, listen, Jordan, I love the gloves.
They were cool. They were cool. I liked those as well. And we again, me and Danny were discussing this. What we loved about it is that they are just ordinary gloves with some LED light stuck on them. But
100%.
Because it's Doctor Who, they are the most creative and helpful device ever created. I love it.
In terms of so what do you think of the goblins?
I did like the goblins. This is the thing I had about this element of the story, because I think so much of the focus was on Ruby and who she was, and obviously it's an introduction between a new Doctor and new companion, that while the goblin part was brilliant, I kind of feel like if you took it out of the episode, would it change that much? I mean, obviously the whole kind of weaving the timelines part, but I was kind of hoping for a little bit more goblin involvement than we got.
I like the song. I think I was probably with a lot of people out there that when Janice Goblin started singing, I was like, right, that was not the voice I expected to come out of that goblin. You know, you kind of have an idea of like, you know, yeah, goblins are like this. Is like, oh no, okay, Grant, right, I like this. What I really liked, because obviously the song's been out for ages, so I didn't know this was happening. Is that what do? Keep singing, I guess. And Ncuti showing off his pipes, and Millie as well singing, and we were talking about it, so I'm actually going to steal your point, but you said before we started recording that she doesn't go, why is this happening, or why am I singing, or anything. She just goes straight in with it, and it's like, oh, that's fine. And even she gets a little jibe in there as well. She even says, like, you know, basically, ha ha ha, you're not getting this baby. I'm like, I love that.
I think what's also more impressive is that if you watch Unleashed afterwards, they recorded that live on set. So Ncuti Gatwa commented that he was expecting, they said in the script they were going to sing, and he was expecting it to be a day in the studio, and then they'd lip sync to it on the day of filming, and the day of filming got closer and closer, and no one ever said anything to him about pre-recording, and they literally sang it live on set while they filmed it. So that's pretty impressive.
So, okay, all right, that works, because I remember the last time people were talking about that, and they were talking about Les Mis, which I think generally worked, but there was a lot of criticisms over singing live.
Yeah, but I will just comment on what you just said about Ruby just going with the flow. I think there's a good and a bad to that. I think it's great that she, she's up for anything, but at the same time, I do feel like the character of Ruby was quite accepting quite quickly, and it felt a little bit like, these two strangers have suddenly become very close friends very quickly.
I mean, you're not wrong. Insert companion name here.
Yeah, well, that's true. So we mentioned earlier about how this doctor is free of the previous burdens.
Yes.
But at the same time, he's not completely robotic, I'm not robotic as in he has no emotions, but he's not completely devoid of any darkness at all. And what I really, really liked is the parallels that were drawn between Ruby being a foundling and the doctor's acknowledgement of the fact that he is also a foundling and he doesn't know where he's from. And that acknowledgement of the Timeless Child arc again. And I made a comment at how in the last 4 Russell T Davies episodes, we've had a deeper and greater exploration of the Timeless Child than we had in the actual episode that introduced the entire concept. Russell T Davies has done a better job of explaining and exploring the Timeless Child in 4 episodes.
I suppose because if there's one thing that Russell does is he knows how to tease with tidbits. I think Volt Saxon, Torchwood, the bees are disappearing, things like that. So I don't think we're going to get to, well, might be wrong. I don't think we're going to get to not a redo of the Timeless Child, but maybe a reinterpretation or I don't think we're going to get that. I do think it will play into whatever the overall thing is. And remember, of course, from the giggle and things like that, he who is waiting, or he who waits, or the meat says the boss. So we didn't get anything about the boss in this one. I don't think.
But I do think that the Timeless Child, I think a lot of the issue that people took with it was such a monumental change in direction for the show, but because it was introduced and it didn't go anywhere, that's what annoyed people. It's like, if you're going to change the show that fundamentally, then at least have the balls to carry on with it, and it didn't. And I think what's happened here is, rather, a lot of people hoped that Russell T Davies would just retcon it and ignore it. I think he's done the right thing, because he's picked it up, and I think he's capable of taking it in a good direction and kind of not fixing it almost, not fixing it as in erasing it, but just kind of extending it so that it is more powerful. And I think I mentioned this in the ups and downs as well, is that what I really like is that rather than exploring who is the Doctor and going down that route, what they've done is they're exploring how has this thing affected the Doctor. They're focusing on how it's emotionally affecting the Doctor, how it mentally affects the Doctor, how rather than focusing on the thing itself, they're focusing on it, its effects on the Doctor and its influence on the Doctor. And I like that.
For sure. All right, Ellie, who's Mrs. Flood?
I don't know. There's so many theories about Mrs. Flood flying around. And you just mentioned the boss there. So is she the boss? Is
Mm-hmm.
she who the toy maker was hinting about coming? The legions coming?
So I'm wondering, right? Because I think the first theory I saw was River, and I know I think you kind of went into spasm when someone said that, because you're like, River can only ever be played by Alex Kingston.
I know. I think everyone's expecting me to get really excited that it might be the return of River, but I can't. If River's not played by Alex Kingston, I would rather she didn't return.
I know you, and in fairness, I would, you've made that point in the past. You've said it before, so this is not you just reacting to Anita Dobson.
No,
Who,
I
by the
think
way,
she's
actually,
great.
full disclosure on my point, myself and my partner, we were sitting there watching the episode, and we both went, I know her from something. I know her. Bloody Angie Watts,
Yeah, I
isn't
was
she?
going to say
Yeah.
EastEnders. I am aware that if you're outside of the UK, you probably have absolutely no idea.
Yeah,
But
probably,
this is
yeah.
an
And fair enough.
iconic character.
Mm.
And yeah, she's brilliant. But this is also the thing. I did start to think quite early on, something fishy going on with her. You don't get Anita Dobson in the episode to just stand on the doorstep, and there were a few things. And my mum actually said it turned out not to be true. And I did go back and check, but at one point she said, does she have red nails? Because obviously the red fingernails.
Okay.
She didn't. I went back and looked. But again, everyone was going, there's something iffy about her. There's something going on here. And then obviously that closing moment was like, I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it. But
Yeah, it's funny
yes,
because,
sorry.
yeah, she's presented as quite like she could, like, and she's so nice to then her landlord, who she'd been butting heads with earlier on, and they be kind of Merry Christmas. You're acting like you've never seen a TARDIS before, so it's obviously she's kind of been set up that we like her. And I hopefully, because the other one was, what was it? Now it's tenuous, but it's good enough that I'm going to include it. This theory of flood, water, rain, Rani.
I've seen that.
Some people will be like, what? And fair enough. So the Rani is kind of the other big, time lady of the classic era, who hasn't come back at all since the revival.
We've also got obviously the Master. We've had hints of the Master returning, so that could be another obvious.
Oh Lord, no. Sorry,
No.
not that I don't think she'd be good as the Master. I'm sure she would be, but just
I'm kind of hoping
let
not
the
as
Master
well.
rest for a while.
Yeah, but obviously because the tooth was picked up, there's hints of the Master returning. Sure. There's one that I sent you earlier that you were like, no, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's a theory that she is Jenny being the Doctor's daughter,
Right.
Jenny's daughter, and thereby the Doctor's, or is that Ruby? I can't remember.
I think you had it that, this theory had it that Mrs. Flood is Jenny, and that
Mrs. Flood is Jenny. I can't remember. That's going to. Hang on, I'm going to look now.
Her daughter. It basically, it got to the bit where Ruby becomes the Doctor's granddaughter, and I went,
yes. Oh yeah.
Up with this Susan Erasure.
Yes, Jenny is. Yeah. Okay. That we'll just ignore that.
Like, in the other one, love the idea of Jenny coming back, because that's a great dangling thread. I think one of the reasons I'm less thrilled about if Ruby was directly related to the Doctor is that one of the problems, I think, as it went on, was how the Doctor became the center of the universe. And for as amazing as some of the stories based around that have been, I think the Doctor is a traveler, and the Doctor does interact. I say this with love, Moffat was pretty bad for this, where this idea of universe itself stops existing if, say, for example, the Doctor stubs his toe, and it's like, just let him be, because otherwise, I mean, at this stage you're kind of you would be shocked if I'm actually deadly serious, like, who doesn't know what a TARDIS is in modern day London? Or in the universe of Doctor Who. I'm sure some normal people don't know what a TARDIS is. That's absolutely fine. But because the big gag is that, Mrs. Flood goes, you're acting like you've never seen a TARDIS before.
Having said that, this is something that one of my friends messaged me after watching the episode. They were like, now, at the beginning of the episode, she was complaining about the TARDIS being outside her house as if she didn't know what it was. So was she just pretending not to know what it was at this point? Or has something changed? Particularly, obviously, because time did change when Ruby was blinked out of existence. Yep. Has something changed between the beginning, where Mrs. Flood didn't know what a TARDIS was, to the end, where she very clearly does know what a TARDIS was? So we've got another mystery there of what's going on here.
Yeah.
And obviously another theory being that Mrs. Flood will turn out to be the mysterious woman, mother of Ruby?
I mean, that would certainly... I could see that happening. You know, she lives nearby to keep an eye on Ruby without
I
being
think
directly...
age-wise, it doesn't work, but this is a time travel show, so that absolutely doesn't matter. Especially, I saw
Exactly.
another theory that because Davina obviously phoned her and said there's no trace of you whatsoever. So the theory being that she's from the future, so there wouldn't be a trace of her in the past because she's actually from the future somehow, and it's all timey-wimey.
Absolutely, I think that is what's going to happen.
Or Mrs. Flood is someone completely new, and we're all completely wrong.
I'm assuming we're all completely right. The thing is, because Russell T does love to screw with people. And I'm just excited. Like, I love the fact that once again we've got mystery boxes, and we've got, like, I really want to know, and that is something that I always feel like we're bashing poor old the last couple of years of Doctor Who, but we've been missing that. You know, that I need to see the next episode. I need to see what happens.
They dangled that carrot perfectly at the end. That was the perfect cliffhanger for people to go, well, I need to be tuning in for the first episode of season 1.
Which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, April?
Well, I think it's May. So
May,
actual Doctor Who thing didn't say, but at the end of Unleashed, it said Unleashed returns May 2024. So people have assumed, well, if Unleashed is returning in May, Doctor Who is returning in May.
That would be, I think, a pretty good thing. So, right, so in which case, right, I'll talk to you in May.
Yeah. Hey, we've got plenty of work to do before then.
That is true. Right, but, I mean, I think I'm pretty much there. Look, we haven't said it, but I need to say it again. The music. Murray Gold, you bleeding genius. Ruby Sunday's theme, I am lost in that music. It's beautiful. And, of course, we've heard it already, but the 15th Doctor's theme.
I like that it builds up because it just gets more and more. I think again, in the ups and downs, I feel like I'm repeating myself quite a lot in this discussion, but...
Well, sure, listen. We like listening to you.
But on that note, if you haven't already, go and check out the ups and downs because obviously we go much deeper, or I go much deeper into the episode itself. We've just kind of done a broad discussion here.
Right, we're I don't know what else to say. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!
Bye.
Bye!